Well, welcome to the Top Gun Show. Today we have Kevin Nichols, the VP of Sales and co-founder of Granite Telecommunications, the sponsor of the Top Gun Show. Kevin helped start Granite about 20 years ago alongside Rob Hale, the president, who I had the pleasure of interviewing last week. Granite provides one-stop solutions for voice, data, internet, wireless, video, and secure network operations throughout the United States and Canada. Annual revenues of Granite exceed 1.6 billion, and they employ over 2,500 teammates. Kevin, welcome to the Top Gun Show.
Hey, Steve, thank you. Good to be here.
So happy to have you guys sponsoring. What a great story and a great leadership team you have. Last week, I interviewed CEO Rob Hale, who talked about the market opportunities that he saw about 20 years ago that prompted the start of Granite, as well as the value proposition and key differentiators. Let's dig a little deeper. I already said that Granite is about a $1.6 billion company. You serve over 85% of the Fortune 100 companies, and you have 5 times the retention rate than the industry average. You offer services to over 700,000 client locations, and you have no debt. It could be argued that you are in a crowded field, but these statistics speak for themselves. What is the secret sauce at Granite?
Well, I think you're right. It is a crowded field, and it always has been. When Granite celebrates its 20th anniversary, I'll celebrate my 30th year in telecom. And Granite comes from the ashes from the CLEC world back in the early 2000s. And I think we kind of still do today. We have the same mentality, if you want to call it secret sauce. I just think it's client satisfaction. I mean, we are driven by long-term client satisfaction. You know, we've always been in this from day one for the long haul. You know, this was never a quick thing. This was never a short-term thing. This is always long-term. And I think that drives everybody in the company. Every oar in the water in our company across every department is pulling an oar towards client satisfaction. And whether it's provisioning or managed services or billing or sales, whatever it is, client satisfaction drives the boat here. And we measure that in our NPS score, our Net Promoter Score, and it's really high. I believe we lead the industry by a bit there in our Net Promoter. So that manifests what we're doing works, and our client satisfaction is high. And I think that secret sauce are our people. We've got great people. We value teamwork and hard work. And I still think, even almost 20 years into it, we still have this us against the world, little engine that could. We still operate as a startup in a lot of ways, and that permeates from the top down. And so I think that drives us. We keep driving and building towards building a great company, and we know that with client satisfaction, we'll get there. That's what got us to this point so far.
Yeah, that's a great answer. You know, when Rob was talking last week about, we just do what the customer asks. I mean, if the customer asks for it, we do it. I mean, we build a company. It's common sense. We build a company to satisfy the customer. Well, that's not really common sense. I mean, it's uncommon common sense in today's day and age. So I applaud what you guys have built and the little engine that could, man. I love it. 1.6 billion. I love it. That's great. Well, let's dig a little deeper. You service some extremely large clients. What's the size and profile of the ideal client?
Well, I think the headlines about Granite will tell you that Granite services just big companies. You know, we kind of defined the centralization of multi-location businesses back 20 years ago, and still today we do. And I think we've gotten a lot of attention because of that. And we've grown the business because of that, because of being adept and comfortable with really big clients. But as time goes on, there's only so many really, really big clients, and we've taken what we've learned from our big clients, and that delivery is now available to the mid-size and smaller clients. So we're not as particular about the absolute size of a client. I think that the ideal client is someone who trusts us a lot. And that's what we're after. We're after client loyalty, and we know we have to earn that. But with client loyalty and getting a client, having a trusting relationship, that's where we're at our best. That's the ideal client. If that trusting client has 1,000 or 100 or 9 locations, fantastic. But our growth has been based on that trust, so that we're able to listen to clients, understand what their technology roadmap is, and then build products and systems around that so that we can grow with our clients.
Yeah, that's great. But, you know, we've talked about some of the solutions, or I mentioned some of the solutions that you guys offer. Let's talk about pain points. What are some of the pain points that customers experience which point them to Granite as a solution?
Yeah, well, as we're speaking, tariff rates are increasing. I mean, costs are increasing all around on clients. But I think in general, I think that the pain point are resources. And this goes back prior to COVID too. This resources as technology, cybersecurity and cloud computing and SD-WAN and wireless advances, all those things that telecom's always been confusing, and IT is confusing. And I think a lot of clients really struggle with keeping up with it, running their own business and then keeping up with technologies. So again, going back to trust, I think our clients are telling us that it's confusing and they don't have the resources in order to drive a long-term technology roadmap. So they're looking for someone like that. I think that's why our channel partners do real well, because they serve that role as well. And that's Granite as a whole is trying to be a resource that you can rely on, because our clients struggle with that, keeping up with the industry. As rates are increasing, as technology is changing, it's getting more confusing. Hiring people to manage a staff to manage those changes is expensive. So again, being a trusted advisor and a partner, that's our fit, and that's what our clients need, and that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, well, talking about loyalty and taking care of your customers, I mean, again, I want to mention your retention rate being 5 times the industry average. So obviously that loyalty is a two-way street. That's amazing. Well, Kevin, I know you're a big fan of the Top Gun Show, and that I know there are millions and millions of people watching you right now, and they want to know a fun or little known fact about yourself.
Well, aside from 30 years in telecom, there's a lot of scars there that and a lot of great stories and things like that. But beyond that, I think what people even at Granite don't know is that I am trying anyway to be a musician. I play the bass guitar. I try to play the bass guitar. I have been for about 3 years, with hopes one day of being in a band. Maybe a small local band would be nice. And it's been very difficult for me. It's not intuitive at all, although I love music and always have. And if you think IT and telecom is confusing, try music theory. It's it's a struggle, but I love it, and I'm working hard towards it. And so maybe one day I'll be out there. We'll see.
Well, I hope so. I've said this before in some other shows where people have talent like that. I want to start a new episode called Telecom's Got Talent, and I want to have you on playing your guitar.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, that's great, man. Hey, Kevin, thanks for being on the show today. It's a pleasure to get to know you and find out a little bit more about Granite. Next week, I'll be interviewing Mark Palmer, the VP of Advanced Services. We're going to take a deeper dive into the technological advances of the services offered by Granite. You don't want to miss that episode. Kevin, thanks again for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, everybody.